Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Nicole Juergens, how are you?
Oh, I'm so good, Michael Moore.
Hey, let me just set this up, okay? This is censorship number 3, okay? This is censorship number 3. Let me tell you guys what happened. This is not for Nicole's benefit. This is for the people's benefit, okay? Nicole and I just went full tilt into each other on censorship video
Literally.
podcast show number 2. We went full. If we were actually in each other's presence, somebody probably was going to get hit. I'm sure it was me, of course.
Somebody was going to get slapped.
Somebody was getting slapped, but so thank God we were on other sides of the digital world.
So go watch that one first.
Go watch that one. Make sure you watch Censorship 2 and then Censorship 3. We're a little bit calmed down. But what happened was after we ended the podcast,
we kept going.
Kept talking. We just kept talking, you know, because she needs to gain some information from me and all that. So I'm here for that. I'm here for blessing Nicole. And we just brought up a couple things that we just wanted to, you know, put down on wax and get you guys to listen to and see what your thoughts are and all this kind of stuff. So I brought up, I'm sure many of you out there know Miss Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's one of the newest representatives in the House of Representatives. And I believe she's from the great state of Arizona. I'm pretty sure about that. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is just what I consider to be a sort of.
Look her up right now.
Yeah, look her up. She's a far right extremist. You know, she has a lot of provocative things to say, which fire people up. And, you know, she's an anti, you know, kind of vaxxer and, you know, COVID is a hoax kind of thing and all this stuff. Anyway, she said something yesterday, basically about COVID and its effect on, what do you want to say? Do you have something?
She's from Georgia.
Oh, is she from Georgia? Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. At any rate, she said something yesterday or recently, I think it was yesterday, about COVID basically affecting only obese people and no one under the age of 65 or affecting people over the age of 65, which got her censored or banned from Twitter for whatever first offense time period they ban people. I think it's a day or two or something like that, and then it gets progressively worse, right? So you end up in Trump land where you're banned for life. So anyway, Nicole and I were talking about that, and I think that I should start off by stating I think that that's bogus. I think that that's absolutely bogus. I cannot stand her or anything that she says or any way that she lives her life. I'm not with her on anything except her right to say what she wants to say that's not harming people directly, right? Meaning she's not saying anything that's inciting someone to hurt another person. She's not advocating any sort of violence. She's not, you know, encouraging bad behavior, except for maybe if you consider bad behavior not getting vaccinated. I don't take it that far, but she's literally just saying, based on whatever sources she gets her information from, and I guess the medical community, wherever she gets her information from, that these are the people that are affected by this disease, and therefore this percentage of the population should not be forced to have to get vaccinated. I gotta say, Nicole, I'm with her. I'm absolutely with her. And this is someone who I literally would send money to her opponent to campaign against her. I would make phone calls. I would do whatever I have to do. But I'm fully with her right to say that.
Well, and that's why I was like, oh, we better hop back on here because look at how we've come all the way around, and we did a lot of yelling and a lot of to get to this point, and I think that's the issue. So what Mike said, he's saying is that, you know, I'm against you inciting direct harm, and the problem, and that's like saying I'm going to kill you. I'm literally going to kill you. Which, by the way, again, Twitter allows death threats all over the place. So talking about censorship, right? The problem is that who gets to decide what is harmful and what's not? And that is the issue, because what half of our country is saying that COVID is not harmful unless you're fat or 65 is harmful. You're killing somebody. Saying that, well, I need to look at the checks and balances between, my age, my health, and, whether or not I need the vaccination, that's harmful. So that's the issue, is that who gets to decide what's harmful, because that's the problem. They are censoring things that they've decided that are harmful that half the world don't decide are harmful. And so that's the issue with censoring free speech. And that's what we were talking about afterwards.
Right. And so I personally, my hope for America would be, no matter what side of the line you fall on what we're discussing right now, that 100% of us would agree that a conversation is fine.
Mhm.
A conversation should not be censored. A conversation where Nicole, and by the way, Nicole and I have literally been talking about COVID since COVID started, right?
Since
So
before it started, February of last year, people came
yeah,
in the
before
casino.
they actually shut everything down, we were having conversations about how this was going to look in the future and da 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 da. So all of you guys are really just seeing the last couple of months we've been talking, but we've literally been talking about this forever. I can't imagine living in a place where you and I are not allowed to discuss any particular topic. But I now have what I consider to be a provocative question for you. Okay. So I want you
Freedom.
to
I just want to say this real quick. Freedom.
mercy.
First
Lord.
Amendment. First
Mercy,
Amendment.
mercy.
Okay.
Yeah. And I want you to put on your just super duper 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 thinking hat on this one. I want you to just think about this. I want you to just, I'll wait. You process this for as long as you need in about 20 seconds, okay? I'm sure that you and I can agree that one of the greatest tragedies of the 20th century, if not just the history of the world, would be the Holocaust, the Jews dying in mass during the World War II period, right? We can probably agree on that, yes? Yes.
Yes, 100%.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
And my question to you is this. I personally believe, from everything that I've read, documentaries that I've seen, people that I've talked to, I mean, I've been to the Simon Wiesenthal Center in Los Angeles to actually, visit the museum that kind of talks about all this kind of stuff. My question to you is this. Do you think that the world could have benefited from censoring an Adolf Hitler? Because before you answer, in my opinion, Adolf Hitler, who was a extremely charismatic speaker and an extremely charismatic character, right? You have to have good things about you to get X amount of people to follow you. I mean, I know it's not politically correct to say anything positive about Hitler, but let's just call a spade a spade. There has to be something good about you to get millions of people to follow you, right? Now, what you do with that following is the problem. Obviously, he went in a horrible direction. But do you think that the world, and specifically Germany, and obviously the Jews, could have benefited from censorship in that scenario, meaning censoring his hate speech? Because I feel that he indoctrinated an entire generation of Germans who, if not for him and his charisma and not wanting to step out of line and be good, citizens to their country, Germany, probably would not have been thinking about gassing Jews and gypsies and everybody else who died as a result of Hitler's craziness. Do you feel that the world could have benefited? And I know it's a provocative question, so forgive me. But I feel like extreme questions need to be asked given this topic, because it's a huge thing. Censorship. It has such profound effects on the world.
Yes. 100%. I think I was thinking about it in terms of, like, let's say he was around now, right? And let's say he had a Twitter account. And he was literally saying, I'm going to gas all the Jews. Like you say, in that situation where, like, I'm literally going to do it. Like, guys, come to my house. I'm going to get, like, yeah, that's inciting riot. That's actually inciting riots.
But it didn't start there, Nicole. It didn't go from elect me your leader to I'm gonna gas
Of
6
course,
million
but
people.
that's where I'm
There's
going
a
to get to.
progression. Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
So
Okay.
I number one, there was no social media around then, so people didn't understand or see who he really was. I'm sure he never said to anybody about his real thoughts about gassing Jews before he really was in power. And therein lies the issue. I think, again, I think it exactly proves why we cannot have censorship, because I told Mike this once before, is that if I was, with a gun to my head and someone said, because I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know what Hitler was thinking. I don't know what happened leading up to him being in power. I don't know how he really convinced an entire country to go along with his indoctrination. But if I had a gun to my head and someone said, you have to tell me right now, do you think he used mass censorship tactics in order to manipulate an entire population? I would say 100% yes. That would be, I would
And
die. I
meaning
would die.
censoring the other side of the
Meaning
argument
he
that
used censorship in order to propagate his ideals, in order to all the media probably, and again, I don't know, the historians will know, but my guess is the media, if there was any allowed, I believe he shut down all media. Anything that was allowed was simply his ideals only, until he had an entire country that was literally, the viewpoint was entirely his, or if it wasn't, they went along like, well, I don't know, these guys are doing it, I guess I have to do it, right? I mean, people now who have PTSD, who I don't know if everybody, if anyone, many people are still alive, but you hear about actual Nazis.
right.
Nobody feels bad for them, but they had their own issues, right? Like, well, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I am, because I'm going along.
Well, I mean, that
I
was
think
their defense in the Nuremberg trials, was simply we were given orders. It wasn't
right, and that's
yeah.
I think that's exactly does prove why censorship is fucking terrible, because
So
my guess is he just mass censorship everywhere, and that's how he became this dictator and killed millions of people.
so what you're saying, and I guess sub question would be, your premise is that the free flow of information is actually the counteraction to censorship, meaning that the
Yes.
free flow of information would have put the block on
Yes,
on
100%.
what happened, say, in that situation.
Yeah, because I mean, even if you like, you listening to or reading Anne Frank or something, they would try to find a radio, and they would try to find signals with, people. So clearly everything was shut down. There was no flow of information, right? I mean, it was censorship to the ultimate power. That's what scares me about any extremist society. And like I said last time, we used to be in an extreme right society for multiple years. And now, whether we realize it or not, we are in extreme left. And when you have an administration that can come out and openly say, we are censoring you because you're misinformation, which, again, like you said, like, how is what she said, like, how is that censor worthy, right? I mean, she said fat people and 65 people are the people dying from it. Oh no, you're killing people. Like, what? So again, censorship under that, and not only that, like he came out and said, oh, I'm gonna look at all your texts, all your emails, listen to your phone calls, and we're going to flag any misinformation. Like, again, I would say, if Trump got up on that stand and said that, the same people who are okay with Biden saying it would be mass protesting in streets. And I say that because, again, I'm politically homeless. I don't care, but I'm against extremism either way, because extremism leads to eventually Hitler, right? There's a reason why we have these laws. And I think we've come around to understand that we do think the same thing. It's like, you can't directly say you're going to harm somebody, even though social media allows death threats. I mean, I just saw a whole bunch of them against what's her name, J.K. Rowling, right? So there must be tons more, right? So again, that just leads you to question, well, then how do they decide who they censor and when? And why do they decide this woman, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and then not? By the way, speaking of J.K. Rowling's, all the people who were against, all the trans movement who were against her statement, which simply was, are you worried for the safety of women when biological men are in the bathroom with them, right? It seemed quite innocent at the time. turning this big thing. All those trans movement who were against that statement called for her immediate removal from social media, called for her to be censored, they called for all of this stuff, right? Luckily, it did not happen. But this is the issue when you start censoring. Who decides? This is why we do live in a great society where we have the ability to discuss openly. But it worries me when we start to say like, okay, well, now we're censoring information. Okay, because you're literally killing people. Wait, what?
See, now we're at the point in the conversation on censorship where my intellect and my personal beliefs sort of meet, and I say, I don't understand humanity. And I'll tell you why. Because I'll tell you right now, okay? One thing that I really hate on social media is just how disgusting some people can be. And by disgusting, and I mean, I'm talking about I'm a man with a mom, a wife, and 2 daughters. And that gives me a very sort of intimate affiliation with women. I hate how women are depicted in a lot of ways on social media. I can't stand about how they're talked about. And really, to be even more specific, I don't like the way a lot of Black women are depicted, especially among Black men. And it's just the real. It's like a, kind of a hip hop. It makes me feel old because I think maybe this is just the way things are, but kind of a hip hop influenced culture where women just don't really seem to be respected. And I'm bringing this up for this reason. Why in the world would you call for the censorship and removal of J.K. Rowling's simply asking a question that, whether you think the answer is this way or that way, is really an innocuous question to make you think about something, right? I'll be honest, I was on a road trip a couple of years ago, and I don't even remember where we were. We were out of state, and long story short, my family stopped at a gas station, and everyone went to use the bathroom, and a guy, a person who was clearly a man dressed as a woman, walked into the girls' restroom, and I stood right outside that restroom because if I heard any one of my people sound anything other than happy, I was coming in there and there was going to be blood all over the place, right? So the reason why I bring, yes, no, I was going to be fisticuffs because he was going to get hands put on him. But here's the thing. He was probably the nicest guy on earth. But it still made me a bit uncomfortable to see a man walk into, or what I was pretty sure to be a man walk into the female bathroom. The reason why I'm bringing that example up is because I think almost anyone who's just being reasonable can give that particular question some thought, right? Like, how would I feel if, me personally, as a 6'5", 275-pound guy, if a female walks in the bathroom, I'm probably just gonna be like, well, that's weird, but I'm not fearing for my safety. But I have a 12-year-old daughter. And if a man walks into the bathroom with her, that's an issue for me. So I'm going to give that some thought. Why is that such a huge deal? Why is that much more of a bigger deal than women constantly being called bitches and what men want to do to them being talked about and then being depicted as nothing more than sexual objects for the objectification of men? Why is that not being called for to be censored?
Maybe we should censor everything. Just censor it all.
No, what I'm actually saying is that you can't censor any of this stuff because that's when it becomes ridiculous. Now, if somebody was saying men rise up and go into the female bathrooms and, rape women, then that's where Mike falls on the whole, like, yeah, okay, I censor that shit. I don't want to hear that. And I certainly don't want anyone following that. But J.K. Rowling is saying, like, how do we feel about this? Let's talk about it. Let's think about it. Come on, man.
Well, and that's the same thing about this entire argument about COVID. It's become incredibly political and corporate, and again, pharma, who is running all of it, is making trillions probably by now on it. So again, that's where a lot of issues can come in, tying in with government, and people believe the overreach is definitely based on bias and or lobbyists and or just complete corruption. But again, that's why you can't have censorship. But we have this entire time. I mean, doctors, actual physicians, surgeons, actual scientists, but who have shown data that is not conducive to the mainstream narrative are censored. Now, how is that harmful? Like, this is science. Let me show you everything. I'm not saying don't take the vaccine or take the vaccine or whatever. How about, why can we not allow ourselves to get a little uncomfortable and say, well, I'm uncomfortable because I really truly believe in vaccination and what they're saying could be harmful, but let me take a look and then let me say, like, no, I don't agree. Why can't we the minute we feel uncomfortable, it's we want to shut everybody else down without understanding that there's 8 billion people in the world. We are going to feel different.
But I don't even think that the comfort level is the real problem. The comfort level is a symptom of what the real problem is. And the real problem you actually just described is money. Because if they would have actually developed a vaccine for free and given it to the people for free, then these conversations and the discourse would be intellectual, it would be non-emotional, and it would truly be something that would ultimately benefit the entirety of humanity, because all the data flowing in would then be unbiased. It would be honest, right? There would be integrity behind how it was harvested. It would be for the greater good. The real problem is there's a small percentage of people who are making a huge percentage of wealth.
And they're running the entire narrative.
They don't want that narrative being put out there that, hey, COVID, well, I'm not even going to say it because I don't even want to risk
Don't get us banned.
Yeah, no,
Censor.
I'm not.
We're talking about censorship number 3. We want to talk about this.
Yeah, I was gonna say something that probably told that line. Listen, money is true. The Bible has it correct. The love of money is truly the root of all evil. You don't have to believe in Jesus or anything to understand that is the truth. People's greed is the ultimate corruption of anything and everything.
So, and whether or not you agree with what we said about, any of this about, it doesn't even matter about COVID. It just so happens that the censorship whole debate is coming up. Not even debate, like they're actually censoring because of COVID. It just goes to show why you can see that we should not have it. I believe, again, I have a hard stance in our First Amendment right, and that the government should 100% stay out of it, because in this instance, the government is not acting alone. They are influenced. And you say, well, they're influenced by the CDC and the WHO and the
No, not influenced, complicit.
And not only that, but the CDC and the WHO and the NIHS are all complicit with Big Pharma. I mean, if you look at their websites,
you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful. That stuff you're saying right now, that's the kind of stuff. Yeah, that you gotta be careful.
I mean, you can look on.
And by the way, I'm being dead serious right now, because this is actually what the conversation, the 3 episodes that we're doing now on censorship, actually the sum total of it is the sadness that I, Michael Moore, a tax-paying, law-abiding citizen in the United States of America, am literally telling you, Nicole Juergens, a law-abiding, tax-paying citizen in the United States of America, you know what? We shouldn't be saying this, because we put a lot of work into these podcasts and they're going to get pulled down if we say certain things.
And how do you feel about that?
I'm sad.
Exactly.
I'm absolutely sad.
When talking about this, so I'm going to finish saying it is that the CDC and the WHO, and if you look directly on their website, they don't hide it. Again, all this information is in plain sight, but if you actually tell the information, the information is in the plain sight, then you get censored. So again, whatever your belief is, your idea that it's okay to censor data, like it just doesn't make sense. But on their direct website, their main sponsors are Pfizer, Merck, Moderna. They sponsor the CDC and the WHO. The CDC is a patent holder, multiple vaccine patents.
Let me just make sure I understand this. You're saying that it's not even hidden.
No. No.
that these pharmaceutical companies actually sponsor or finance or fund CDC, WHO.
No, it's not hidden. And this is actual general facts. And again, and you can look at the entire history of our medical system in the United States, right? We're having major opioid issues because the entire medical system has become it's become a pharmacy. It's not medicine, right? Not preventative medicine. And they say it is, but it's not. It's just give drugs, give drugs, give drugs. And if you think that's not true, look at our health, right? It's going the wrong way,
Rock
right?
said that. Chris Rock said that 20 plus years ago in one of his stand-ups. He said the money is in the just the giving out of the drugs. The money is not in the cure, right?
Well, and again, if you say that, then it sounds almost like, oh, a conspiracy theorist. They don't want you sick. It's not about they wanted you sick. It's about the money, and they are, I'm sure, trying to cure thing. But when you look at the idea that, you know, our episode was literally not even just banned, like taken down. It's not even on, like, I can't, luckily I actually have my own recording, you know, but they took the whole video off because we suggested a medicine that is incredibly, I think I said free today. It's not free, but it's very cheap. It's, you know, local vets and everybody has it. The idea that this happens and that censorship is allowed and that you're yelling for it, not you, but people, half of our country, makes me very nervous. Because if you talk about Hitler again, I'm not going to compare us to Hitler. We're not even like Hitler, but it started somewhere by allowing, right, things, right, little allowances here and there until finally, all of a sudden, like, wait, what? And we have the First Amendment for those reasons, to keep us as a free society. And when we start to defend or explain our reason why we need to circumvent the First Amendment, we have slowly begun to give up the idea of that free society. That's what I believe.
I find myself in agreement with you. I don't have any dissenting opinion on anything that you've just stated, except that I really feel like it's like something you said, and I think you said it off stream or whatever. You said to me, you said, you know, the government is people.
It's us.
It's not some, you know,
we think there's some
untouchable
powerful entity.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is the government. No, the government is us.
Is us.
And
the
we
reason forget
why
that.
I remember that. That's the reason why I'm saying that, is because you really seem to hold on to this sort of integrity filled, you know, honest, like, equality that the Constitution is supposed to dole out to the people. But the truth is, it's not equally enjoyed by everybody, right? And I'm not making this, I don't want to turn this into like a black white issue or anything. I just want to give examples. Like, for instance, you know, you look at a guy like Philando Castile in Minnesota, right? Law-abiding, tax-paying, gun-holding citizen.
Sorry.
Was killed after he told the police officer, I do have a weapon. I'm reaching for my driver's license because you asked me for my driver's license, but know that I do have a weapon. And then he goes to reach for the weapon and he's killed. Listen, I don't want to argue that case. That's not my point. My point is simply the Second Amendment was not equally shared by him in that moment as it would be if that cop pulled over Brad Pitt, right?
No, I agree. And what is it that it was written?
The First Amendment is not going to be equally shared among all the people, right? Because essentially, really, the pharmaceutical companies are enjoying a far more lucrative look at the First Amendment than you and I are, because we're getting pulled down from YouTube. They're making money hand over fist, putting out the narrative that, and I don't even want to say what I need to say, but they're putting out the narrative that's getting them paid. Let me just put it like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I want to say that who I forgot my history now, but who wrote that, these truths hold to be true,
That
that all
these
men are
truths
created
are
equal. What is that?
self-evident.
Is that Declaration of Independence? What is
That's
that?
the Declaration of Independence.
Mhm.
And I want to say that's actually Jefferson wrote that.
So I truly believe in that as well. I truly believe that the reason why um, we have a free country, and we can talk about freedoms and how they're limited among different people as well. We can. Um, but those words that were written, if we truly did live by them, we'd be in a much better place and a safer place and for
Oh,
everybody, right?
of
And
course, of
so
course, of
I think
course.
we just need to continually remind ourselves of those and remember in the face of major events like this, right? I also wanted to say something else you said about last time, or was it this time, when you said, if they had made a free vaccine, we could have general. Well, I also would take it one step further. And if we had a free vaccine, all of this would have been over a long time ago. If we had a free vaccine, we might not even ever have COVID. But that's a conspiracy theorist view that would probably get me, banned from Twitter. Because again, if you go to the top, like that's and follow the science. Well, the fucking science made this virus. I mean, it's a disaster from the beginning to end. But limiting the ideas or the ability for people to discuss and come together and try to figure it out, like,
I'm just
truly
laughing because I
hurt
think
us.
like I absolutely feel like and you know that I am a betting man. I absolutely feel like this episode is probably not going to make it.
Of course. All right, then let them take it down. But again, that just
I'm
goes
sorry.
to
I just feel like if this episode makes it, like we need to high five each other because I just feel like, yeah, we'll do it afterwards. But man,
but and that should, in my mind, worry you. That should worry you that we are allowing this to and again, I say allowing because we do forget. We think, well, it comes from the government, and like you said, but we vote in our government. Not only do we vote them in, you think like, oh, we vote them in and we just let them go and they get to. No, we still have the choice in this matter. The issue is some people are very, very loud, and the people that are very loud are the extremes, right and left. And right now, as I'll say it again, I think we're living in an extremist left era, right? And the people over there don't agree because they don't realize it, right? Um, and so we see these things happening, and slippery slopes, too many slippery slopes, that if we don't come back to balance, it's only going to get worse. And how can it
the
possibly get worse in the last, but it will.
Nicole, there is so much meat on this bone that we're talking about when we talk about the First Amendment and we talk about this virus and we talk about the extreme left, the extreme right. There is so much here. And really, one of the biggest components to all of this is the fact that once congressmen and senators get into office, they literally fundraise 8 hours a day. Now,
It's
what
about
they
money.
do, what they do after that 8 hours, maybe they are doing something for the people. I'm not gonna just impugn all of them right now, but I will say that of the 24-hour day, they spend 1/3 of it from day one all the way until their next election fundraising. There's something wrong there. And by the way, I'm not saying there's something wrong with them. I'm saying there's something wrong with the system where they need to be fundraising 8 hours a day to get reelected in the next election that's some 2 or 4 years after that.
Maybe we should tackle that next time. Let's tackle our political system next time, should we? We just
Can you
we just
handle that? Can you handle
tackled
that?
censorship, and we're probably going to get censored. Tackling censorship, which again, I tell you, no matter who you are, no matter what your extremist views, and by the way, people who are on the left don't think they're extreme right now. They are. Whatever extreme you're on, please hear me. Censorship does not benefit anybody, and it is very scary to get started down that road. But if they censor this episode, then you're just like, whoo-wee. So
What's
we
our next
definitely,
punishment? We like banned for 6 months.
we
What happens to us next time?
who cares? We just go to a different platform. I mean, that's the thing about a capitalist society. As long as we remain free, we have the ability to do that, and we have the ability to choose somebody else. And that's what I think is going to happen with most of this social media, unless if they don't stop censoring, which now they're government supported. And someone else brought up a great argument for, like we said originally, you said, oh, it's fine, these are private companies, if they want to censor or ban, they can, sure. But now government is directly asking them to censor, circumventing the First Amendment, which, okay, now we have big issues. And you can say, well, they don't have to. But the thing is, somebody was saying, is that a lot of these companies are major, monopolies, major trust issues, like, Facebook, Instagram, right? Massive, Google, and the government can hold against them, basically like, you should do what I say, or we can start breaking up your trust, right? We can force Facebook and Instagram to say, we can, right? I haven't seen the government come out and say that, but that's what people are saying on the other side, saying, well, that's kind of how they hold them to the narrative that they want, which again is majorly circumventing the First Amendment. So we need to tackle the politics. That's what we need to do.
Ooh, boy, highly uncircumcised. Getting deep. Deep.
Let's do that next week. What are we gonna? Oh my God, that's good. Maybe our 5 viewers can tell us what we should talk about. Like, oh, that could be like months long shows about, what's going on right now and how do we come back to the center. I mean, the center is really where agreement and harmony is. There is no agreement and harmony on the extremes ever, so.
Well, you are most certainly the optimist among us here on Highly Uncircumcised.
I believe in
I'm
people.
100% the pessimist, because I think that nothing is going to change until there's blood running in the street.
No,
we're too far gone.
I don't think so. I think that we can start to stop and think and take a deep breath, like I tell my kids, and be like, hey, wait a second.
I tell my kids to fight it out.
Well, then therein lies the problem.
I put a cage in the backyard. Anytime there's a problem, just go out there and don't come back until somebody's dead.
I mean, we can get there, and we will. I truly believe that, but we have to be willing to listen to each other. We have to be willing to listen to a point of view that makes us uncomfortable. Like you started out with talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene. I never had followed her, but I just see now, because I looked her up. It was Georgia, and she has like one tweet that's just #fire Fauci. And she has one tweet that says, heading over to the Senate to see what Dr. Fauci is saying now. It's always something different. #fire Fauci.
You got to see some videos though of hers. She's entertaining, if nothing else.
Again, yes. Like, so you think that what she's saying does not agree with what you agree, but so then you get to just say, oh, she's harmful and let's censor her. Do you realize that anybody who agrees with her thinks what you're saying is harmful and let's censor her? And this is why we can't have censorship. We will sue.
I wish we could get her on our show, dude. I wish we could get her on our show. She would be the perfect get.
Oh, we need to, well, are we going to start interviewing people? Is that next? So
Highly Uncircumcised might have to go there, man. We might have to start doing some man on the street kind of things. We might have to bring in some people. Like, I would love to have her on here, because I would tell her straight up, I don't agree with anything you say, but I'm 100% for your right to say it.
Yeah, there you go.
Now go ahead and espouse the stupidity.
And again, mind you, we have a friend who on Twitter is very vocal for, vaccinations and whatever. And so when I question, not that I'm not even an anti-vaxxer, but I want to question and make sure that the checks and balances or the cost benefit, everything's in line, right? Like, he gets riled up and it's like, oh, you're ignorant and that's stupid. And like, he's our friend, and I'm like, you do realize the other side thinks the same about you. And so we have to be able to have these discussions without like just resorting to name calling. How does that even help anybody at any time ever? That's what leads to, the riots and the war, right? Like, take a deep breath and let's just listen to each other. And if we truly cannot, we have to just agree to disagree. And because the whole world is never going to agree. So we have to find that middle ground. We're both going to have to give a little and find the place. We haven't gotten there yet, right? But we will.
We probably need to just like put ecstasy in the entire country's water
Oh,
supply.
then we're all going to be just fine. We're all going to be fine. We're going to figure it out. Everyone take one pill. And then for the next 6 hours, we're going to hash out this entire government. Solved. Done.
We'd all be touching each other. Hi, how
6
are
hours.
you?
We will have this all solved. No problems. Everybody loves everybody. We just need a little bit, instead of fluoride in the water, that's what we need. A little bit of that in the water.
A little Molly.
A little Molly in the water. Everybody's
Racism
good.
is ending on September 15th, 2021. The Molly dispersion is happening September 14th.
We're taking the fluoride out of the water. Molly's going in. All of a sudden, everyone's like, wow, I really love you. Can I give you a hug? Like, the whole world would be so different. Like, let's do it. Let's do it.
And then September 16th, if that didn't work, we go to cocaine.
Hey, we got at least we have, an idea. We got a solution. Like, here we go.
That's one solution. We'll come back with another one next week. Molly in the nation's drinking supply. First solution, highly uncircumcised. You heard it here first. We'd all just want to give each other a hug. I'm telling you.
Yes,
Not that I've ever done it. I'm just saying.
Seriously. I mean, yeah, like that's a good solution. Let's do it. All right, we're gonna let that be the last word, because hopefully we don't have to talk any more about censorship. I hope by the time this comes out, it's literally kiboshed.
Assuming they get to see this.
I hope it's literally kiboshed, because otherwise we're gonna have a censorship number 4. So everyone who's watching, fix your shit. Tell everyone no censorship. We'll see you next time.
I'm on my way to get my 61st first booster. So have a good day.
Bye.